Now, you may only see a pile of receipts, but I see a story. I can see where this story is going. It does not look good.
First of all, I wanted to start out by asking Jamie, this letter you wrote to Michelle where you suggested you run away together. Why was that? Tell me about that. I mean, I don't blame you.
Well, A, I'm a big flirt. B, truthfully, I just was so excited to be working with her. I'm obviously have watched her work over the years. She was the entire reason I said yes to this strange little film that they were asking me to be in. And I don't even know. We laughed about it today. We called it love at first fight. You just meet people and you go, I love you. Let's be together for the rest of our lives. And that's how I feel about Michelle then, now, everywhere, all at once, all the time.
It's
in
true.
Every universe. Go ahead, Michelle. What do you have to say to that?
Oh my God, it's true. It was love at first sight, fight, whatever. I remember getting that email because the Daniels wanted to introduce us before we actually met in Simi Valley at the IRS building, that scary place. He thought maybe it's nice that they say hello first. And what Jamie wrote to me was like, let's just ditch the Daniels and run away together. And I'm like, I love this girl. She's my kind of girl. And it's true. Every day I rub that Buddha belly. Come to mama. Give me all the luck. Yeah. It's been such a joy to work with someone like Jamie, who is not just amazing. I mean, we've seen all her movies. We know how incredibly talented it was, but I never expected such a generous, loving human being. She brought light and love every day to the set. She was everywhere all at once, with the crew, in front, behind, everywhere, on top, below. Yeah, she is just, and she made me fearless because it was very empowering, when you have to do very absurd, weird and wacky, wonderful things, but still at the same time be so grounded by a true emotion of love and heartbreak, with hanging with hot dog fingers at the end. But that connection, it was only because of her. It really was. We looked at each other, and it's not described how we should say, what we should feel, but the real emotions just came out.
Well, I asked Daniels what they thought, and I've been asking all of the cast, the most bonkers day on set, just because there had to be so many. Daniels talked about you, Michelle. They said, we broke her brain. There was one day we broke her brain. Was that your wildest day? And Jamie, for you nailed that wrestling move. What is it called? The flying kick or the flying knee? Why did you insist on doing it?
I think it's called a backbreaker.
Is that what it's called?
I think it might be called a backbreaker.
Well, you crushed it.
Well, thank you. Michelle, what broke your brain, mommy?
No, okay. I think the day that I just I collapsed on the floor and was like, oh my God, after so many years in the business, I can't believe it's come to this. It was that butt plug fight. Okay? I'm fighting with Andy on one hand, and he's trying to take off his pants and sit on the butt plug. And then suddenly I turn around, there's Brian, his brother, who's like the muscle man, and he's got no pants on, and this butt plug going. It was like, oh my God, it's like nobody's ever going to believe that I pulled two butt plugs out of them. Oh my God. Yes, they broke. I was on the ground. I couldn't get up. I was just like, yeah.
It's important though for whoever's watching this is going like, what? Here's what you need to know though. At the center of the whole movie is this deeply emotional family dramedy about a family that's broken and through the multiverse is reattached. And so it's wacky out there for sure, but that there's what makes it so satisfying is that there's really a deep emotional vein that's running through the movie predominantly started with Michelle Yeoh's performance. So it's fun and there's wackiness, and believe me, she does pull 2 butt plugs out of 2 men simultaneously, but she'll also break your heart open.
Pun intended. You just said that. I wanted to ask you both. I mean, this obviously explores the multiverse. Let's just assume the multiverse exists. Would you want to meet a version of yourself? What version of yourself would you like to meet?
Ready?
Which is
1, 2, 3. Singer.
That's a
We
good
both
one.
want to be singers.
Is
We
there-
both want to be able to communicate the art form of singing.
Would there be, which for each of you, because you both had so many iconic roles, which character do you think would be fun to re-explore in a multiverse story where that character gets to meet a lot of different versions of themselves?
The truth of the matter is that True Lies, Helen, was kind of went through her own multiverse when she had to pretend to be Doris or whatever her name was, the prostitute that she, So for me, I think I've sort of done that a little bit. They even maybe did a little bit in Freaky Friday. So I kind of feel like I'm good with my multiverse world.
Okay, Michelle?
It feels like I did it all in this movie, okay?
Yeah, you've done, babe, you never have to do you never have to say the word multiverse again. You have multied the verse.
Out of heck.
You should just remove the word from your vocabulary.
Michelle, I wanted to ask you, when you touched on this, Jamie, a little bit, really at the heart of this, there is, multi-generational trauma. There's a true love story, a mother-daughter relationship that's really beautiful. How did you and Stephanie create that relationship? And why was that so important to you to get that right? And the I love you, even the I love you, that line that you had to say to Jamie's character was so unforgiving. And if you said it wrong, the movie wouldn't have worked. It's incredible.
No, but it's true. I think we truly believed in the love. We didn't have to rehearse it. I think we all came into this movie believing and wanting it to work out. And the only way it would work out is because we truly felt it from every single character, from Key, from Stephanie, from James, from Jamie. We all just connected. Sometimes how the stars align and you don't know how you can explain it. The casting, whoever did the casting was brilliant because we all just came together, we held each other's hands, and we all just dove into the bagel and say, "Hail bagel," we're everything everywhere all at once. And it's a very relatable story because we have that miscommunication. I think now, especially nowadays, with this big gap with this generation and the previous generation, because this generation has so many things at their fingertips that goes by so quickly. When we watched this film, the younger generation got it. They didn't need any explanation. I was very worried about the older generation that came, like who were in their 70s and 80s. They were aunties and uncles who wanted to support our film. And I was really, really worried. But at the end of the day, first of all, they were not offended by the raunchiness of all the crazy things that we did. And they stepped away saying, okay, maybe now I'm beginning to understand a little bit of all the things that you all deal with, because this is your generation. We didn't have this. Even I have problems multitasking, which the new generation doesn't. But what is very important is to understand that we need to communicate. Don't give up on the communication part, because this Evelyn Wong went to the ends of the universe and knew whatever happens is I'm here and I'm never going to go away, because this is love for your family, for your daughter or your father or your husband.
Wow.
Or your IRS auditor.
Oh yes, especially the IRS auditor.
Gotta love your IRS auditor or they will audit you.
The hell out of you.
There's a great evil spreading throughout the many verses. And you may be our only chance of stopping it.
Don't make me fight you. I am really good.
I don't believe you.
You are all astounding for this movie. I think you all should be nominated next year at next year's awards ceremony. You're amazing. I wanted to jump in and ask you, it must be an actor's dream to play so many different characters within a film, but I'm wondering if you all now believe in the multiverse actually existing. And if so, what version of yourself do you think is out there somewhere? What would be like your favorite version of yourself?
Ooh. Well, I definitely have always believed in the multiverse. I definitely am like here talking to you, but I'm also like, wow, wow, wow. I always say that in the movie, I would say that my best self would be a rock verse in the rock verse. I think that is the supreme version of myself. But outside of the movie, if I could choose any multiverse dimension, I don't know why I'm saying this. I just feel like I'd be a great carrot, like just like hugged by the soil, just growing, sprouting, healthy, resting.
That's amazing. That might be the best jumping intern
That
I've
was
ever
the best, well, because we haven't had that question, so I really affirm your question. I'm like, thank you. Ooh.
Thank you.
For me, it's really easy. I know the multiverse, spurs up a lot of imaginations and what ifs had I chosen a different path. But for me, there's really something to be said about the present universe. And I haven't done this in so many years, 20 years to be exact. And for me to step in front of the camera again, I like where things are right now. I like where things may be going. I'm really optimistic. I'm really hopeful. So I like to still stay in this present universe for now.
Okay. And what about you, James? And I want to get back to that 20-year
Well,
thing.
I
What
want to
about
go
you,
back to what she was saying. I was sitting there early in the morning getting made up, and almost every day I see her coming on near the makeup table or whatever, but she's in these funny clothing, costumes, and I said, well, what kind of, I was totally puzzled. What kind of movie is this? One day she looks like a clown, the next day she looks like a monster. So I didn't, at that point, I was really confused at what is this movie about. And I would, like you, have to see it again to see what the Daniels were thinking about, and what the real values, how it twists and turns in these expression of another universe. Why do we have to go to another universe? The only way I can express that is that I think in my nightmare I begin to understand what the Daniels were trying to do, because I think nightmares every night, unfortunately. And all these things that they say in the film is in my nightmare. And being Asian American, I guess I feel the same way, that a lot of the expression in the movie tells me that, this is life. And I hope to get your opinion as far as the audience watching, what they feel, how they identify with the situation.
Well, I always have a hard time making decisions because I think it changes the course of my life, even if it comes down to what I'm ordering for dinner. But I wanted to talk about what you said about a nightmare. For the three of you, I'm sure you're put as actors in these outrageous positions in this movie you have to totally trust. But what was the most out of control, WTF, what is happening in my universe day on set?
Well, do you want to go first? You go first.
It's crazy because every day I feel like I'm walking onto a different genre that we're doing. One day it's an action movie. The next day it's a horror movie because we saw bodies lying around. The next universe is like a hot dog universe. So it was just a lot of fun to see what the Daniels cooked up, and they wrote this amazing script. It was just a lot of fun to see them realize what was on the page and to put it up on the screen.
Stephanie, for you, and I also want to ask, in addition to that, working with Michelle, having to have those fight scenes with Michelle and create that mother-daughter relationship, because there's a lot of heart to it as well.
Yeah, well, I would say that one of the probably most logistically challenging scenes was probably the first scene that I shot with Michelle, which happened to be the entrance of Jobu scene, or the hallway scene, or otherwise known as the Elvis scene, blowing up someone's head into confetti, swinging sex toys scene, because that was our first scene together, which is crazy. I love being weird, and I love being weird with the Daniels, and we really bring that out of each other. But to do that and still be rooted in this very supreme despair, and having the chaos come from that place, while also being fearless in crazy costumes at Michelle Yeoh, was a lot of balls to juggle. And the good thing is that she is the most generous scene partner I could possibly have ever wished for. But yeah, that scene, you know, as crazy as it is, there's a moment at the end where Jobu is kind of telling the audience or telling Evelyn that nothing matters, and it's kind of the supreme point of that scene, and it's actually also really intimate. So there's a lot of things happening, you know.
Key, I just want to go back to what you were talking about. The fact that I heard the Daniels saw either a GIF or something of you from Temple of Doom and said, "What's that guy up to now?" And they approached you. What has this whole experience been like for you? Your performance is so amazing. What was it like for you coming back to acting after all this time?
It's really incredible. I mean, the timing could not be more perfect. It was at a time where I stepped away for so long, and when I saw Crazy Rich Asians, and I had serious FOMO, and I called up an agent friend of mine and asked him to represent me, kind of begging him pretty much, you know. And when I got it 2 weeks later, unbeknownst to me, the Daniels was also thinking about reaching out to me. So it was just kind of like, you know, this thing. And I read the script, and it was one of the most beautiful script I've ever read. And the character is just incredible. And to have it feature a Chinese family in a movie like this, where I wish it happened in the early 80s. If we had this project, I would have never stepped away from acting, you know? So it's just, I'm overwhelmed with joy. I can't believe I'm here. And this is, you know, I want to be here. I'm really happy.
The universe
He speaks of senseless things.
is so much bigger
Script is you and me.
than you realize.
Of all the places I could be, I just want to share with you.
This is obviously every genre into one. It's very immersive. It's about the multiverse. I just want to know about the conception of these ideas. Like, how did this story sort of come to the two of you? And then sort of those little moments where when these characters kind of have to do these outrageous things, very outrageous things to get, you know, their powers. How did those ideas also come to you?
Yeah, so a lot of the sci-fi that we grew up on was, you know, like Douglas Adams and Hitchhiker's Guide or Kurt Vonnegut, and that sci-fi is very funny and playful and cerebral and kind of doesn't take itself seriously and yet always finds a way to become profound. And so we knew we wanted, if we were going to be doing a movie about the multiverse, we would want it to do all those things, to touch infinity, but also just not take itself too seriously, which is what life really feels like most of the time anyways. It's a weird mashup of all these contradictions. And
so like right at the beginning, we had this idea of doing something statistically improbable that would like help catapult you to another universe. And so we just would pitch what weird action might unlock what power and what that fight scene might look like. And that was kind of just a fun thought experiment very early on in the project. And one of our first ideas was like stealing a kid's ice cream cone, barfing on it, giving it back to the kid, and now you have the power of flight. And that was kind of one of the first germs of the movie, but that's not in the movie, you know, so we didn't use that one.
That's actually leading me into my next question, because I was going to ask you, are there any multiverses you really wanted to put in? Not just the little actions, but multiverses you didn't want to put in that didn't make it in?
There was one universe where everyone's mouths work differently than ours, or communication worked differently.
Right, I remember this one.
Because like in our universe right here as we're sitting, we communicate and sound comes out, and it's the sound that is doing the communication.
Right, but in this universe, silence would be how you communicate. So like if you wanted to talk, you would stop making noise. So everyone would constantly just be going,
And for some reason, we just
and then there'd be subtitles.
But we imagined that being in a funeral where everyone sitting in the audience is going, right. And only the person who's giving the speech is going silent.
Yeah. But that didn't. We had too many ideas, and once we had the character of Evelyn, this Chinese American woman trying to connect with her family, it gave us a path through our chaotic brains, and it helped us decide what belonged in this movie. And it was always about what would affect that character, what would help her story along.
I can't even imagine how you begin to edit. It seemed to me like you must have been shooting for 24 months straight to get all the footage that you got, and ideas I would never think would ever be either of your problems. You have probably too many ideas. So now that you are multiverse experts, I know Loki maybe approached you about directing a series. I think there was like a conflict in your calendar. You were already doing this, but do you have a vision for a movie or a film set in the multiverse for Marvel?
No, we're so tired of the multiverse. The word has lost all meaning to us. So we're ready to,
just do like a regular family drama.
Yeah. Or like we have like a focused love triangle idea, but we'll
small movies.
We'll
That's
see.
The future.
Yeah, famous last words. The next one will be even bigger for somehow. We don't know.
Okay, but if Marvel approached you to do a family drama, which family or which character would you want to focus on? Which one do you think could get the Daniels treatment?
Yeah, it would be a Charlie Kaufman-esque family drama about what's the head of Marvel's name?
Professor Xavier?
No.
Kevin Feige?
Kevin Feige, yeah. It'd be about Kevin Feige and his family and him having dreams where Doctor Strange is trying to help him with his daughter's college application.
I hear Kevin Feige wants to start acting, so I think this is a good idea.
Yeah, okay. You heard it here first.
So he's playing himself?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
What I took from that is, who's the head of Marvel? That is the most brilliant thing I've ever heard.
And then I like that his answer was Professor X.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well,
What was the most out of control day you would say you had on set? Because I can't imagine sort of the direction you gave these actors or the set pieces, but what personally is your memory as the most out of control WTF day on set?
When people see the movie, they'll know what the trophies mean. The trophies are a big part of the movie. And there's a scene where Michelle has to fight one of our choreographers over a trophy, and we were rehearsing it, and her brain just broke, and she just couldn't stop laughing for 10 minutes and shouting "What are you boys making me do?"
And we actually had to take a break and have her step off set just to recollect her brains, because I think they fell out of her head.
It's amazing that it took her 4 or 5 weeks before her brain broke, but we did finally break her, which was appropriate to the movie. We would always say, use it. Your character feels that way.
Yeah, what kind of conversations did you have with her? I know initially everybody's talking about how Jackie Chan was the initial person and then you swapped over, but why was she the person, the actress in general? And then what kind of conversations, how did you sort of, aside from her reading the script, explain this film and explain it to your actors?
Yeah, so there's obviously no one like Michelle Yeoh who's had this career that she has had, and yet there's so many parts of her tool bag of talents that haven't been put onto the
At
big
least
screen.
American screens.
Oh yeah, American screens, exactly. And so we were just so excited that she was down and that she could see the potential in the script, and that was a real treat. But the main direction we told her is as ridiculous as this movie gets, as immature as this movie gets, everything has to be real. Everything has to be grounded. You are in a cartoon world, but you are a real human being, and that was something that she did such a good job of. Every single moment you believe that this is a mother struggling in the multiverse, and she does a beautiful job.
About one-word answer, does everything matter or does nothing matter? Please solve the riddle for us.
Both.
Oh God, I say nothing matters, but that's okay.